Professional developers don't spend all day hammering out code anymore. We manage it. AI does the heavy lifting. We review it. We ask for changes. So if you're a developer who is still getting to grips with all these AI tools and what they mean, this one's for you. And if you stick around to the end, I'll share the one AI tool that has taken my workflow to the complete next level. So if you think about vibe coding, you think people that don't know how to code, one-shot prompting, building full applications and things like that. That's not what professional vibe coding is. Professional vibe coding is just the next level to your existing software development career. And the biggest change is just how much more efficiently you can get work done. In this new AI era, there's a couple of ways I like to work. One of those is when I'm actively working on a complex feature, and the tool that I'll often use for that is Claude Code. And the biggest things that I can do here is I can still architect the system. I can break down a feature that I've been given from business people into something that I can translate into technical terms. And I can translate that in a way that Claude Code's going to understand it and be able to iterate over that in small steps, so that I can still control how the feature's being built, how it's being tested, and I can still keep a close eye on the actual code being written. And to do that, we often write PRDs, which is our translation of given a feature request, fleshing that out into a complete document with all of the different steps that need to be taken and the acceptance criteria of that. And for this, I've got a Copilot issue writer, GPT, and I can just give it a small paragraph describing the issue that I want, and this is going to flesh that out in a big way. It's also going to come back with any relevant questions that it needs to ask me in order to get the complete context of what I want it to build. So I'll quite often use that as a starting point to write a PRD and then paste that into either GitHub Copilot agent or into Claude Code if it's something I want to work on more closely. And the next thing I've got that I'll share in a future video is my Claude Code command for writing comprehensive product requirements docs and for breaking a PRD down into detailed tasks and subtasks, so we can have Claude iterate on that in small chunks and never lose context or hallucinate. And the next thing that I still use as my main code editor is Cursor. And I like to use Cursor for working on specific files or changing specific blocks of code. For example, this all tags method, let's make an adjustment here. Update the all tags method so that it lowercases all the tags first and make sure that they're unique case insensitively. And we can now run that. And this is one thing, you can use Claude Code for that also, absolutely. But I think just given the context that we're already in the editor, we can already highlight specific lines of code and just make those changes right there and see those inline changes as well. I still find Cursor useful for that really explicit pieces of code and making changes that way. And finally, the last kind of mode that I like to work in is completely autonomous. So whenever I get a bunch of issues and they're very basic or very simple and can be described very well, I will either use Claude to write a PRD or I will use my ChatGPT Copilot issue writer, and I can put issues into GitHub and then just go to assign Copilot. And Copilot will go ahead and do an awesome job of simpler tasks. And quite often you can just make sure the tests and CI runs and just merge the code if it's simple enough. If it's a bit more complex, you might want to check out the code locally, test it, especially if there's UI involved. You may want to give that a look over in person first just to make sure that the UI fits in with your app, etc. What makes this professional as opposed to standard vibe coding is that you're still reviewing all of the code. You're still using your expertise and what you know to make sure that all the changes being submitted by these AIs meet your approval. So given this example issue I've done on Rapid Ruby, Copilot Agent has done this for me. We can read through the description and make sure we're happy with the changes it's made, the way it's described them. We can go through the changes made, look at its code comments and look at the actual changes here. But ultimately, you as a developer need to sign off on this when you're merging it. you are using your experience to look for potential security loopholes, issues with the code, bugs, things like that. And if you're not happy with the code it's writing, you're also able to ask for changes from it and iterate until you're happy with the changes that it's made. It's not hacking together AI snippets and hoping they work. It's professional development just evolved. And I said at the start of this video, I'd show you the one tool that has really supercharged my whole workflow, and that tool is Wispr Flow. So Wispr Flow allows you to press the function button on your Mac and it will record your voice, transcribe everything. It is really good with punctuation, file names, technical things like that, and it will really just make your day so much easier. So now we're typing into these prompts constantly and we're asking for changes and all of that sort of stuff. And the best thing you can do with AI is just give it more context. So if you can hold record and speak into it instead of typing, you're just going to be able to give so much more context, so much easier and faster. And that's the biggest level up I've had working with these AI tools so far. So the biggest changes here aren't negative in my opinion. It's not that I'm writing less code and I'm sad about it. I'm just spending my time on more complex problems. I am having more flow, less friction, and just getting way more work done on my own projects, on my consulting projects, across the board, shipping more code than I've ever shipped before. And if you like this video and you want to see more of how I automate commit messages, creating pull requests, writing PRDs, and creating tasks, check out this video next.